athletes.
We'd like to start by congratulating Coppin State on a great year and a historic year for them. I thought I was impressed with how hard they played defensively. And, we knew they were a good serving team coming in, but I guess it's different to see it in person. I thought they put a lot of pressure on us in serve receive. And on our side, I think we were a little too high air, especially offensively, to start the match. What I liked, is that we got better throughout the match, both offensively and defensively. And I think by the third set, we were it looked a little bit more like us. And I thought our both outsides were taking better swings at the end, and I think Emmy had one of her better defensive days in a while. I don't remember a ball hit her way that wasn't controlled. Happy to be advancing to the round of 32.
Coach, what do you think attributed to the little bit of a slow start that you guys had?
I think probably we were just a little jittery. There's a lot of build up for this, and we're playing in a gym that we don't always play in, and I think we were probably pressing a little bit and just trying to do too much.
Coach, you held Coppin State to your lowest hitting percentage of the season. What do you attribute to your team's great defense today?
Well, Emmy was a big part of it. I thought we also blocked pretty well in zone 4. I know that they're usually in a 6-2, and this was a new lineup for them, so I think they were probably sorting some of that out. But we felt like we had a defensive advantage going in, and so I think we showed that more as the match went on.
Coach, how did you adjust to Coppin's serve?
Well, I don't know if we ever totally did, but I liked that we got better. When we play a serve that good, we got to just focus on passing a little bit further off the net.
Emmy or Rachel, when Tori blocked her sister's hit, you guys all had a big reaction. You don't often see sisters get to play against each other. What was that moment like for you guys as a team to kind of see that?
I think it was kind of like more of a funny moment, just because that's not a typical matchup in a Division I college match. But I don't know if she was necessarily excited about playing her sister, so I think it was just treating it like any other point for her. Just I got a block and just move on, just 1 point.
Yeah, and fun fact, there's 4 people on our team that have siblings in the tournament.
Emmy, so you started the game out hot and you stayed hot throughout the game. Would you say being a libero is like a momentum-based thing?
Yeah, I would say if you start the match getting a lot of balls hit at you, it kind of puts you in this mindset of everything's gonna be up, and it starts with your defensive intensity starts from the beginning. So I think, there's a lot of momentum that goes into being a libero, but I think that's also just the sport of volleyball. It's a big momentum sport. So.
Rachel, when it came to a match like this where a team comes out and they had a 4-point lead early in the first set, and they're a team that's looked very comfortable on a big stage when they've never been here, how did you guys want to adjust and just kind of put pressure on them to sustain that kind of momentum that they started with?
Yeah, it all starts in the preparation. Just throughout the day, we need to do a better job of starting fast. So I think that it kind of just translated to the game. But then we flipped the switch somewhere in there. It took longer than we wanted, but...
Did they do anything that caught you by surprise?
Not necessarily by surprise. I think that we just needed to treat it like a national championship, and we could have done a better job at that.
Coach, Tori obviously had a pretty solid game, hit 550, a double-double for her. How have you seen her perform so far in these past few matches that have shown her growth so far this season?
She's been a more consistent performer, at the end of the season than the start. I think she made some really good digs tonight too, especially overhead that she just responded really quickly to. So I actually didn't like a lot of her swings to start the match. At the third set I did, but I was pretty impressed with her defense.
They were doing early in the game. They were doing they floated the ball over your blockers, and it was kind of
Mhm.
catching you guys off guard. How did you adapt to that? Because as time went on, you obviously weren't letting it hit the floor as often.
Yeah, I think we just got caught guessing a little bit and not just being low and reading the game and trusting our quickness.
Rachel, there was multiple times where you'd set like multiple people like in a row and not just like the same person. Was there any emphasis on like spreading the ball around today?
I think that like games like this is just a good opportunity to get every hitter in rhythm. So definitely trying to get every single hitter, like I said, like in a good flow of things. And then I like to repeat hitters sometimes, but just depends on the way the game's going.
And then Dan, this is 8 years in a row you guys won in the first round. 6 of them have been sweeps. What does being at home in this arena and getting a win to start the postseason run kind of do for you guys energy-wise now that you've been through it so many times?
Yeah, it always feels new every year in a way, and we obviously have some players that this is their actual first time. So going through it today, being at home, I think is going to just help us a lot tomorrow. Just knowing what to expect energy-wise.
Speaking of first-time players, we saw Blair Bayless get a note for a little bit there. 2 kills to end that set.
Mm-hmm.
Did you bring her in just for a little bit of a change of pace? Because I kind of noticed you did that against Louisville too a couple weeks ago.
She is she's a player that's been battling on the outside all year, and thought it was important for her as a freshman to get in case we might need her later on.
Rachel, you had 4 blocks tonight. I mean, how are you feeling in that part of your game going forward this part of the season?
Good. I've been working on it in practice because against Louisville I was just sick of getting tooled down the line, so I just made sure that wouldn't happen.
Emmy or Rachel, it felt like Valeria had a huge impact in the first set to really kind of like take back the lead after you guys were down. Is that fair to say? Did you see her energy like kind of take over as a leader in that moment?
Yeah, I think Valeria's really good at like bringing a good vibe on the court. Her experience just adds to it, and she's good at like defender, attacker. She's good all around.
Yeah, I would say just her presence on the court, the energy she brings is always a positive thing for our team. So she's definitely a great leader for us.
So what y'all need to learn from this, especially with USC looking at y'all tomorrow night?
I mean, I think the biggest one is just to be ourselves from the start. We don't want to lose points or a set because we're not ready to go at the beginning. But that being said, I've done this long enough to know every match has a different energy and has its own story, and so we'll start preparing for a tough opponent.
Hey Dan, I probably didn't get a chance to see obviously first, or I don't know, maybe you did. But what is the early scout of what you're going to face in the challenge you'll see tomorrow night?
Yeah, we obviously, have done some advanced scouting, so a big part of it will be, making sure that we can slow down Skylar Fields. She's one of the best attackers in the country. But they have, it's not just her. They have a lot of weapons, and so, we have a plan, but we still got to review tape from tonight.
Speaking of Skylar Fields, Rachel and Emmy. Rachel, you'll be blocking her, and Emmy, you'll be digging against her. And does it excite you to go against someone who's like an All-American like that, play against them?
I would say yes, for sure. I mean, just getting to watch their first set tonight and just throughout the week preparing, I think it's something I've been looking forward to for the week. So
Agreed. And yeah, I mean, we're competing against high-level athletes every day in our practice gym, but it'll be fun playing her for sure, and the whole team.
Coach, talk about the unique dynamic of sisters playing off against each other. How did you approach this?
I tried not to make too big of a deal of it. I know the media was talking about it, and I kind of had this sense that they really didn't want to be playing against each other. So I kind of let it go, and I just tried to remind her of her job. But I think at some point in time, they'll look back and have some good perspective on that's a pretty cool thing to be playing your sister in the NCAA tournament.
Did you know her mom made just like shirts?
I didn't know. But I had a feeling she would.
She said they were Donna Kelsey style.
Okay, that's what that's.
Any last questions for coach or student athletes?